Welcome to section 1.6. This is the 8th session of the CISSP exam prep series. In this session, we'll build the paperwork backbone of a security program. We'll answer several questions. Why formalize security into a hierarchy of documents? What is a security policy and what types exist? What are standards and baselines? What are guidelines and how do they differ? What are procedures and why keep all these documents separate? Why does this matter beyond the exam? Because vague intentions do not survive an audit or an incident. Picture a fast-growing software firm where every team secures things their own way, with nothing written down. When a breach hits, nobody can point to a single agreed rule, and blame scatters everywhere. A clear document hierarchy gives everyone the same reference. On the job, this structure is what turns good intentions into consistent, enforceable practice. Why formalize security into a hierarchy of documents? Because a layered structure reduces the chance of a security failure. Written policies, standards, procedures, and guidelines together produce a solid, reliable security foundation. Each layer serves a different level of detail, from broad direction at the top to precise steps at the bottom. Think of a company handbook. The mission statement sets the tone, while the detailed how-to pages tell you exactly what to click. Both are needed, and they nest inside each other. What is a security policy, and what types exist? A security policy sits at the top of the hierarchy. It defines the scope of security you need, names the assets that require protection, and states how far your defenses should go. It assigns responsibilities, defines roles, sets audit and compliance requirements, and declares acceptable risk. Policies are compulsory and serve as proof that leadership exercised due diligence. They come in 3 flavors. An organizational policy spans the whole enterprise. An issue-specific policy targets one service or function, and a system-specific policy governs a particular system, prescribing approved hardware, software, and controls. Think of a constitution with a few focused amendments, one broad charter, plus targeted rules for special cases. What are standards and baselines? Once the policies are set, standards flow from them. A standard defines compulsory requirements for the uniform use of hardware, software, technology, and controls, so everyone implements things the same way. A baseline is a more operationally focused form of standard. It sets the minimum level of security every system must meet. Anything falling below the baseline should be pulled from production until it is brought back up. The baseline is the common secure floor on which you stack stronger measures. Think of a building code. Every structure must meet the minimum before anyone adds premium features. What are guidelines? And how do they differ? Guidelines are the flexible layer. A guideline offers recommendations on how standards and baselines get implemented, serving as a practical guide for professionals and users alike. The key difference is that guidelines are not compulsory. They suggest actions and methodologies rather than mandating a specific product or exact configuration. Because they bend, you can tailor them to each unique system or situation, and they help shape new procedures. Think of a recommended packing list for a trip. Helpful advice you adapt, not a rule you must obey to the letter. What are procedures? Procedures are the most detailed layer at the bottom of the structure. A procedure, also called a standard operating procedure, is a step-by-step how-to document describing the exact actions needed to implement a specific control or solution. It might cover an entire deployment or focus on a single product. Because systems evolve, procedures must be updated as hardware and software change. Their whole purpose is consistent, repeatable results through standardization. Think of a recipe. Follow the same steps, and you get the same dish every time. Why keep all these documents separate? Because separation makes them easier to manage and safer to share. Not everyone needs to see every standard, baseline, guideline, and procedure for every classification level. So splitting them limits exposure, and when something changes, you update and redistribute only the affected piece, instead of reissuing one giant monolithic document to the whole organization. Think of a loose leaf binder. You swap out a single page instead of reprinting the entire book. So let's bring it together. Security formalization is a hierarchy of documents that turns intent into reliable practice. The compulsory policy sits at the top, coming in organizational, issue-specific, and system-specific forms. Standards mandate uniform use, baselines set the minimum secure floor, and guidelines offer flexible, optional advice. Procedures give the exact step-by-step actions. Keeping the documents separate limits exposure and makes updates painless. Build this backbone well, and your security becomes directed, efficient, and enforceable. The MCQs covering all the topics and concepts from this session are available on rucloud.com. Practice the chapter-specific MCQs before moving on to the next session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below or email us. I will see you in the next session.